Hi, I'm Melissa from SoGoSurvey. Have you ever thought about how hard people are trying to get your attention? Customer engagement is so important, and yet sometimes people are trying a little too hard. Don't let that happen to you. In most cases, we want more engagement, visitors, participants, feedback, customers, all, not to mention revenue, certainly, of course. We want more of all of these kinds of things. And yet, for all the planning, all of the engagement strategies, what we sometimes find out is that people end up with less. So focusing on three twos to avoid today, three things that you can do or be aware of to help actually improve your engagement rather than pushing people away. First off, too creepy. Think about this situation in real life. If a stranger walks up to you on the street and addresses you by your first name, might be a little creepy, unless you happen to be wearing a name tag for a conference or something like that. Then it's understandable. The same thing is true online. When I get an email that says, "Dear Melissa," from somebody who I don't necessarily hold dear, I might not even know, or even an entire organization, I do not find it engaging. I feel like saying, you don't know me, but it's definitely something somebody's trying to do to make an effort to get to know me, but it doesn't work. Sometimes this works for people. I have to tell you, it doesn't work for me. Mail merge, piping, these kinds of things you should definitely avoid overdoing at the very least. If you think it's important to do once or twice, okay, that's your call certainly. But piping, for example, those kinds of things can be used for something more specific, a little bit more useful later on, for example, in a survey. So to remind me that I was shopping at your store in Herndon, Virginia, or I was somewhere else, or something like that you want me to focus on. So avoid being overly familiar. The next one is too soon. If, again, in the real life situation, the stranger walks up to me on the street and asks me exactly where I live, too soon, definitely. If you're important to me, you're probably going to find out where I live soon enough. But if you're a stranger, there's absolutely no reason I should tell you. And I feel the same way when asked to fill out something that seems really unnecessary on a first interaction. So online, something like that. Of course, if you go, for example, to a new doctor's office, something like that, you recognize that you're going to be filling out some personal details because it's a doctor's office, because you want them to know, your relevant history and details. But unless it seems absolutely necessary, it's very strange to be giving strangers your personal information. Of course, we know from a marketing perspective, for example, that's really useful information. If you know that I live in a certain town, or I have certain interests, or I have a certain education, or a certain occupation, all those things are very, very useful for you. But for me, as the recipient of this request, it feels a little funny. So take it slow, earn the trust of your customers or your visitors, employees, whoever it is, and you can always ask later if it's absolutely necessary once you've built up that relationship. Too pushy is another one. If you've ever been in a conversation and someone keeps repeating the same question with you over and over and over again, you get the point, and at a certain point you think, wow, this is a little too much. The same thing happens in surveys and online when somebody asks you to fill out something and it turns out that every question is a required field, for example. And if you can't get past that, it really comes across as being very pushy. A little bit bossy, I want to say. You're not the boss of me is definitely the rebuttal that I would consider here. So when you're over requiring, you start to turn people off and you start to dampen the engagement. So think about minimizing the must-haves, that the absolutely must-know points during that form or survey, so that people continue through past some of those nice-to-have items. You can always follow up later, but just keep it natural. You don't want to be bossy in a conversation, and you don't want to be overly forceful when you're asking people questions, either online. So organizations definitely know that there's a lot of competition. We really want to engage people, and we want to do it fast. Faster is always better. More is always better. And we want all of it. However, real people, you and I, as customers, our customers, everybody that is out there in the big wide world, know that if we don't get a break, we're going to give that organization a break. You're going to start deleting those emails. You're going to stop returning calls, and you're going to stop visiting those establishments as well too. So keep in mind that there is a balance to be had. I've got a nice blog about this one, I have to say, and you can also check out a little bit more about employee engagement, customer engagement, all of these items across our social media too. Thanks so much for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you again soon. In the meantime, you can connect with us on social media at SoGoSurvey or visit our website, SoGoSurvey.com. See you next time.